come on down onto your back. Start with the knees bent, back of the skull resting on the floor, pelvis in neutral, neck in neutral. And for a moment, allow yourself to pause. Relax the back sheet of the body, softening the spine. And before we are going to activate the back side of the body, allow it to soften out completely. Then bringing elbows out to the side to a 90-degree angle with the shoulders. Press the upper arm bones back, collarbones widen. And with your next exhalation, start to push the upper arm bones back, shoulder blades back, and the back of the head is ever so slightly pressing into the floor to create an activation in the neck, all the way down into the space between the shoulders. Very minute, subtle little movement, which is going to create some spaciousness and deep activation into the area of the upper back. So you can press up and lift the chest ever so slightly, relax back, press upper arm bones back, elbows pinning down, and the back of the head is ever so slightly pushing into the mat. Let's do one more. Good. And then get ready for some deeper core activation, lateral core activation by straightening the legs out. Good. Separate the feet about hip distance apart. Let frontal hip bones squeeze in. You can reach the palms out to the front shoulders. Stay back and relax. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, frontal hip bones squeeze, front ribs compress, and pull up. Just so that the shoulder blades are off the mat. Holding here, lift your left inner thigh up, rotate it slightly up, and you're going to swing right rib cage, right shoulder across, laterally activating through the abdominal wall. You can do this as many times as feels useful, and then change across to the other side. Make sure to connect. Frontal hip bones squeeze, front rib bones compress, and lift the right inner thigh up, turn it up, left shoulder, left rib cage swings across. Come back to center, let the leg come down, pause for a moment. Good, bend the knees, swing yourself over onto your belly. Good. Straighten the legs back. Elbows wide, forehead on the palms. Big toes touch. Take a moment to let the lower back unwind. You can keep the forehead down. I'm going to lift it up to speak a little clearer. And you're going to exhale, pull belly in, frontal hip bones squeeze, create spaciousness around the sacrum, lift left inner thigh up. You can add a little activating repetitions here, activating the whole left back side of the body. Back center, inhale. Exhale to pull in, navel to spine, and lift from the bottom of the thigh, pivoting into the deepest part of your pelvis, pivoting from the hip, activating the back right side of the body. Good, come on down, inhale, exhale to pull in, let both inner thighs pull in towards each other, and lift both feet. Doesn't have to be your biggest lift ever, just feel a balanced and stable activation throughout the pelvis, the lower back and the legs. Good. Come on down. Pause here for a minute. Swing your left elbow out to the side again, create spaciousness in the chest. Right hand can support the body. This opens the chest, stabilizes the sacrum, and creates some activation along the glutes. Okay, you can also bend this knee if this is better. Okay, let the head rest to the side. Just lift it slightly up. And come on down, change across to the other side, swing right elbow out. Left arm supports you. Either keep the leg straight or bend it back. Just lifting the hips up on top of each other, stabilizing sacrum. Good. Come on back center. Take a moment to pause. And then come up to Sphinx pose onto your forearms. Elbows underneath the shoulders. If you really want to take your shoulder width here, you can wrap the palms around the upper arms and then place the forearms back out. Good. You're going to create some spaciousness around the lower back. Have the feet about hip distance apart. And you can shuffle the hips from side to side a little. Let the front hip bones ever so slightly pull in but roll forward. Okay, so there's length in the lower back, there's an arch in the lower back. Front ribs can pull in, but at the same time you're trying to pull the upper torso forward, lift up through the back of the skull. Remember, back of the neck is really important here. Good. You're going to inhale to lift through the top of the head, open the throat. Exhale, pull in through the front ribs and think of looking towards your navel or towards your hips. Inhale to open. Exhale to pull in. Inhale to open. This time you're going to come up onto your knees. So push through the knees, lift the hips. Come on down slowly. Inhale. Exhale to push back up. Inhale, this time coming all the way up into a forearm plank. So tuck the chin back, take the ribs and the belly in, hips lift, knees lift, tuck the toes under, and then press up, send the heels back, lift the inner thighs, upper arm bones back, push the palms and the forearms down, and then send the back of the skull up and forward. You can swing the hips from side to side a little, broadening through the back of the ribs. Good. Come on down to the knees and shift yourself back, child pose. Good. Come back forward onto your hands and knees, facing palms underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips-ish. They can be a little bit behind the hips, that's also fine. Just moving through a variation of spinal flexion and extension. I want you to keep pulling frontal hip bones towards each other, front ribs compress, and then as you move forward into your arch, lift through the back of the skull. Do not arch all the way. Feel a little bit of a tension running along the belly between the low ribs and the frontal hip bone. So you keep pulling in, front ribs in as you reach forward through the chest, collarbones wide. Exhale to fully contract and pull in, round, spread the shoulders. Inhale, mini little lift. Exhale to pull in, spread the spine, spread into the back ribs. Inhale. Exhale, pulling in. Back of the skull is pressing forwards. Inhale to neutral. Do a few little rotations through the upper torso before we're going to begin and come up into a full forearm stand. So with right palm down, let the left elbow lift from the elbow. Hips are in neutral. Front ribs are in. Rotate slightly to the side. And then exhale, swing through. Come on, up and through. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Back to center. Lift the right elbow up. Feel that this is a little bit of a different action into the back of the shoulder blade than as if you would reach the arm all the way up. So open up, hips stay relatively neutral, front ribs in, turn the chest open, exhale, swing, inhale, exhale through, inhale, exhale, reach, come on back, center, sit back to your heels for a moment. Find a yoga block. You don't have to use this. I find it quite useful to keep the stability in the upper torso. So you're going to place index finger and thumb wrapping around the edges of your block. Place the block out in front of you. Remember your shoulder width, palms reaching for the upper arms. Try to keep the upper arms gently hugging in to create spaciousness in the chest and the collarbones. Good. From here, forearms down, upper arm bones are pulling in, so the inner arm bones or biceps are rolling up towards your ears. Sides of the neck long, back of the skull is pressing up. Good. Tuck the toes under, pull in through your frontal hip bones, front ribs compress, take a deep inhalation into the upper back, and then as you exhale, armpits pull in so the side body engages, swing the hips up. Now if this is where you want to be, perfectly fine to stay here for a long period of time until you feel ready to even lift one foot off the floor. You can do little drills here by bending the knees, and small movements, doesn't have to be huge. Slowly play around with your weight distribution here. Rather make the movements smaller in the beginning, and then you can move towards bigger ranges. Okay, and swing the hips from side to side. Play around with the feeling of weight distribution between upper torso and lower torso. Remember, back of the neck is long, back of the skull is lifting. Good. From here, step a little closer, lift one leg up. Now pull in through the frontal hip bones, front ribs compress, do minor little hops, and then maybe come on up. One leg, you can also pull one knee in, or eventually send both legs up. Slowly come on down, rest in child pose. Swing the elbows out to the side, palms facing out, but the shoulders draped forward to support the neck. You can place the block underneath your forehead here. Good, and then slowly, mindful of your blood pressure, come on up. Reach right arm up. Good. Reach it high, find a side stretch, gently reach across. Little pulses to release the side body again. Change to the left, left arm up, reach it high. Little pulses to the right. Hands interlaced behind the neck, and you might see that physios do this with you when you come for an assessment. This is to test the range of motion of your neck, but it's also a beautiful release to the neck with the support of the hands. So you can gently swing the rib cage and the chin over to one side, gently turning through the neck. This is one of my favorite ways to release the neck, the upper trapezius and the upper back. And lastly, reach right arm up again, let the hand or the wrist just rest behind the neck, and then just slightly lean over to the side. You can stay here as long as feels good, releasing any sort of residual tension that might have come up for you during the inversion practice. Good. And slowly release. You can obviously use a wall if you're not quite comfortable kicking up. I would suggest that you practice a little away from the wall so that it's just there to catch you, but that your intention remains on working sort of without the wall to get that access or stability without knowing that there's something that will catch you every time, because you will enter the pose, you will work with the pose differently if you don't have the intention of going up against the wall. So if it's there to support you, that's obviously great, especially if you're just starting. But keep in mind that it's better to do the prep work on the ground, to not even start kicking up, but to build the foundations first. The spaciousness in the upper back, the activation along the whole back sheet of the body, the safety in the neck vertebra, and of course the strength and stability in the upper arms and the shoulders. I really hope that you find this useful. Thank you so much for joining in, and we hope to see you next week for our next tutorial.